So what we realized is that the fashion industry, when it comes to like tech and fashion connecting, it's a lot of really big events, right? So you have like Shop Talk, you have Premier Vision, you have all these huge events. And what people are missing, I think, is like the smaller opportunities where they really get to connect with the right people. And so what we decided moving forward after this last one we did, because it was smaller and we got complimented on it, even though at first we were like, is it too small? People actually came to us after the event and said, I'm so happy that I came because at first when I walked in, they were like, it's a little small. But then every single person that I spoke to was CEO, founder, decision makers of companies and really high caliber. And we were able to have a one-on-one, almost a meeting at the event because there weren't that many people. So it allowed the opportunity for the relationships to be created. And after hearing that, I was like, this makes maybe even more sense to do like mini events throughout the year where we know that we're going to have, 75 people in the room, one conversation, but then it's the right people in the room, right? That really allows for the industry to be more connected.
Not only do you start a relationship, but it's much easier to continue it because you're seeing those faces
Yeah,
continuously as opposed to once or twice a year, right? Where you
exactly.
have the connection and then maybe it tapers off because you just, it's a
Exactly.
lot all at once. So,
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. So we're really excited. And then after that event happened, we were supposed to fly out the day after. And then we're sitting like working the afternoon and we get an email from Nasdaq out of nowhere. And it was like, hey, it was crazy. And they were like, hey, we're reaching out because a bell became available and we'd like to know if Fashinnovation wants to ring the opening bell on Monday. This was Thursday night.
oh my
Crazy.
gosh,
So getting that email, it was like
that's
so, and the
crazy.
craziest part of it was crazy. And the craziest part about it is that we're not public. We're nowhere like near going IPO. And it's not even something that I think I don't even know if it's for us, honestly, in terms of like, where we want to go. But the fact that they invited us just based on like impact that they were seeing being made, like that's what that's like that was what I needed in a way to like I should keep going. Like it is impacting people. People are noticing it's changed. And that for me is like number one, with everything that we do. So that was like, and then they gave us 24 hours to invite like our past speakers to be there with us. And so we just started emailing and we were really happy because we ended up having Tiffany and Co, Tommy Hilfiger, but at the same time we had Lectra and like VP of Asia for Alice and Olivia. And at the same time, we had founder of Noir, which is the movement during Fashion Week for people of color. And then we had Michael Ferraro at FIT, the D-Tech info department. So it was like exactly what Fashinnovation represents, that mix. So it was really cool.
I was going to ask you because I love watching the video. I've watched it a couple of times already
Thank
because
you.
it's really emotional. And I see all the people there with you. And I was like, wow, that's incredible because it kind of brought me back to a couple of the things we talked about. I was looking too, because the last time we really spoke, I guess, was in April or May of 2022. So
Wow,
going on
that's
like a
fast.
year and it's going fast and
Yeah.
so much has happened for you. So I was thinking you were saying, that it's impossible to innovate, without people. And that totally expresses that you had everybody there. That was so wild. I was just like so
Yeah.
proud of you.
Thank you so much. It gives me chills you saying that, honestly. And it was really like, yeah. I mean, I was talking to my husband today and I realized so something even like greater came out of all of it. So in my speech, I mentioned the favelas to New York City in Brazil. So the models in our campaign and our website and everything, they're all from the favelas in Rio. And when we found out that we were going to ring the bell, we immediately reached out to some of those models because we're in touch with all of them and we always try to help them when we can. And we told them, we said, guys, we have news. You guys are going to be plastered on the tower of Nasdaq in Times Square. And like one called back with a video, like crying hysterically. He's like, I went from thinking of taking my own life yesterday to getting these news today. So it was like super, like, it gets me even emotional to think about it, but it meant so much to them. And then I took that opportunity. And 2 days later, I met a designer And I don't know why it just gave me like this idea. And I was like, look, we, rang the bell at Nasdaq, but these models and da da da, and they're beautiful and they're in Brazil. And the designer was like, I'm actually shooting a campaign in Brazil next week. And for it, they were doing like this UN Foundation campaign where they were going to get stories told by models in Brazil for the United Nations. And then just 2 days ago, they shot all of our models that were on the screen in Times Square in Brazil in their own favelas. And now they're actually going to, and then they videotape them telling their story. And they're going to share that now with the UN. And they're doing this huge campaign behind it. And I was able to do that through what happened with us, So at the end of the day, like I told my husband today, I'm like, now I realize that because for me, it's never been about money, but now I realize that the more you make, the more lives you can impact and the more lives you can change. And for me, that's what it's all about, Makes me emotional if I say
I
it, but
know.
yeah.
Well, it's crazy that one thing keeps like rolling and the domino effect continues, right? And I just
Yeah.
think when you have that momentum and your name is out there, you really can do amazing things, and it really brings fashion to the forefront again, because I really do feel sometimes that it kind of gets left behind in
Yeah.
conversations when you're talking about money and finance and Wall Street. It just does. It still has that aspect of being a dinosaur in the world of business sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see things like this happen, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's super cool. And again, it's all, I feel like I was there speaking, but I was really speaking on behalf of like everybody. And it was cool because everybody that was there to ring the bell with us, they even like, the way that they like, it was like we were all bringing it together. Like, it's because Fashinnovation is community, right? That's really
Yeah.
what we are. So it was super cool.
That's so awesome. That was so exciting. It's like a whirlwind of a whole weekend or whatever, just trying to get it all ready.
Yeah, oh my God, it was crazy. Really, my mom was an emotional mess. She stood up with me. She was right behind me with like the big hair. I don't know if you saw her, but or right, yeah, like next to me almost. But she was next to me actually. But she was like standing there, and then like when we were practicing before we went live, and she like pointed at like she looked at the whole group, and she's like, "I did this."
That's
It
great.
was just a,
She got her
it
little
was a
moment in
cool,
the sun too.
it was a cool moment to have her with me, and it just felt really special. And yeah, I almost broke the bell too because I was so excited.
I saw that. You were totally like energized. It was hysterical. So
Yeah.
business, what would you today say to your earlier 13-year-old little mini Jordana, like getting involved in, what she wanted to do in the future? What would you
So
tell her?
honestly, it would be the dream big thing, and that everything is possible because I feel like growing up in Brazil with Egyptian parents that are very like strict, and unless you like have a full like that's something that I would tell her because my mom like it like even up to like I mean she still every now and then forgets everything. Like in the moment she's excited and then she's like, you have kids, you should really get a job. Like what are you doing exactly? I don't get it. Like so I feel like it's just telling my 13-year-old self, but every kid that like this is what I would say is that your circle when it comes to like your family, your parents, your siblings, they love you and they're like one of your groups, right? But it doesn't mean that they have to be also the group to support your ideas. Because I feel like and it's not that they don't support, but like to because I feel like you have cheerleaders for business, you have cheerleaders for life, you have cheerleaders for like different things. And not every cheerleader is meant to be for cheerleading you through for everything that you do, right? And so I think it's just like really listening to what you want and respecting of course what the closer people in your life tell you, but just also staying true to what you want and following that. Because I think like it's very easy to be like, oh, it's my mom, so I probably should just get a job and forget about all of this. Like what am I thinking, but
Yeah.
then it doesn't lead you to unexpected places like it's led me, so I think I would tell my 13-year-old self that for sure. Because many times I was like, should I give up? Like there are moments, right? For entrepreneurship is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
There's so many moments of like, am I doing this for like, are people listening? Is it making a difference? What am I doing? And I feel like every time I've had that thought and I was about to maybe step into looking for something like Nasdaq happens. And it's happened every time, not as big, but like in different proportions. And it's almost like the universe kind of like when it sees that I'm about to give up, it's like, wait, here's something good. Let me keep
Right.
going, you know?
Here's another nugget for you to keep you
Yeah.
going for another year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, dream big, believe. Because honestly, like, I never went to college. I read PR for Dummies, is how I got my first PR job. Went after the job that there was no way I could get. And just through speaking to the guy about my passion behind it, was able to get it. Like, really struggled for like 15 years trying to be a solopreneur, traveling around, taking whatever PR job was thrown my way, but making it through. And then meeting my husband, him coming up with an idea, having literally a 6 month old, like feeding when he came up with the idea and saying, okay, let's do it. And like just going for it and building Fashinnovation with a 6 month old and a 1.5 year old from 4 years ago to today. So literally, like anything is possible, you know, like if I can do it, like, you know what I mean?
Seriously. Yeah. And your kids are still young, so you're still got a lot
They're
going
five
on
and
all at
six.
once. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That's tough. But now you're like a pro at it. So
So.